If you communicate with emojis or you drop the Y and the U on the U,
oh no,
and you're just lazy and you only use the U, no. It's a 3-letter word. You can't spell it out.
I thought I saw you late last night in Brooklyn, Brooklyn.
Cheers.
Let me fix your hair. I gotta. Your face is too pretty. Can't hide it. Okay.
I have an interesting question for you.
Okay, hit me.
What's it like to go out on a date with someone who drinks alcohol and you don't?
You know, it doesn't bother me to that extent. I'm more worried that it bothers them.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, what I represent to some people is a change of lifestyle. And I think, how do I explain this? So I don't care. I can go out. I go clubbing. I go to God knows what. And I'm not sober. I just don't drink, as you know. But I think when guys go on dates with me, if that is like a huge part of their lifestyle, they're afraid that because I don't drink, it's going to infringe on that. And I don't care if someone drinks. I couldn't care less. I don't give a shit. But at the same time, it's taught me, like, I don't want someone who constantly, like, who lives the party.
You mean that's their activity?
Exactly, right? If you're like, some people like live to work, some people live to eat, but if you are living for the weekend and getting trashed,
right?
For me, that's just not like someone I want to be with. But I think essentially, when someone goes on a date with me and they don't like that I don't drink, it has nothing to do with me. It's because I represent almost like a demon within them.
Well, yeah, exactly. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them feel bad about drinking.
Exactly, but like for the most part, I don't think many people have like an issue with it, especially, you know, because I'm not fully sober. So like I smoke amongst other things. Big on mushrooms, as you know, so.
So it's not alcohol, it's just something else.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not that I think I have a problem with overall sobriety. I'm an asshole when I drink. Like, I'm just not.
What, are you angry?
No, I self-sabotage.
Oh. You mean you do things that you regret? Because don't we all?
I mean, like, we all do, but it's more so like, it took a while for me to like figure out how to deal with this, but initially what I would do when I would drink is I had this like inner belief that people weren't actually going to be there for me because I didn't think I deserved them. And what happened would be I would push them away, and these behaviors would escalate over time. And at first it would just be like a comment there or an argument here, but then as people stayed, they would get more intense. And then they would leave, rightfully so, because I was being incredibly toxic, I was being mean, and I would kind of go for the kill sometimes, and I would just be like an incredibly hurtful person. And this wasn't all the time, this was only like 1 to 2% of the times of when I'd go out. But that just continued to compound, and I would almost look for ways to like intentionally hurt that relationship or like even hurt like things with myself.
Interesting.
So that's why I don't drink anymore. I'm not very good at it.
It's interesting.
So what?
Did you put like that on your dating profile? I'm just curious because like how do you like set that tone without people looking at you like something's wrong with you? You know how people are.
Yeah, no, I think I try to be pretty upfront with it because even though it doesn't bother me if someone else drinks, I want them to know what they're signing up for. And like the go-to date in New York City is drinks. It's let's go get drinks.
It's an activity for everything. Let's eat, let's drink. Like that's the only thing you do.
I don't get a lot of pushback for it though. That's the thing. A lot of people, especially women, whenever I'm at a party and someone's like, oh, do you want to do a shot? And I'm like, oh no, I just don't drink. One, I don't feel the need to really explain it to people. And I think that's a really common misconception is that you have to go into this big dialogue, or it means that like you're internally flawed.
Yeah.
You know, but no, I try to be pretty upfront about it, and most people are really receptive. And a lot of women in particular, like at parties, they want to know more. And it kind of opened the door, and the reason I'm so open about it is because I'm 26 now. But if I would have had someone who I don't want to say like I thought was cool, but like when I was 21, who was successful and could still go out and was still socially liked.
Yeah.
Who was 25 or 26, I would have probably stopped drinking a lot earlier. And so that's why I'm so open about it, because someone has to be, you know?
So what does your first date look like? It's not at a bar.
My Oma always says you don't meet unless you eat. So it can be at a bar, but it has to be like at least tapas. And I don't really do coffee, and I don't do walks, so I'm like a classic. I'm from the South.
You're a pizza girl.
I wouldn't do pizza.
Can we get a
first.
slice and go to the park? No.
I don't think so. I like tradition. I'm like,
Okay, all right. So
What
we're
about you?
doing a
What's your
formal
preference?
dinner with alcohol,
no, not
wine, water.
I usually get like a Shirley Temple, and I'm like, make it extra strong.
Shirley Temple.
I love a good Shirley Temple.
That's very southern.
I know. What's your perfect first date?
Oh, no. We're still talking about you. We'll get back to that. No, I will answer that, but
Okay.
hold on. I'm more curious about you. So how do you set the tone on that when you're like meeting someone for the first time?
In terms of,
The first date, like what do you suggest? Because most people are like, let's get a drink, right? I mean, by default.
well, I just tell people right off the bat I don't drink. And I'm like, oh, and it's just like a super casual.
So then they go, let's go get a coffee? That's so boring.
Some people say let's get a coffee, but something that like when someone wants to get coffee with me, that tells me that they're a serial dater.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a red flag for sure.
Like I love lunch. I think lunch is like the ideal date, but I think tapas is like by far the best date. You got like a little bit nosh, you have like a shared experience, and you can share it.
So you share the saliva before you even like, exchange names.
Well, no, you get the small plates.
No, I know, but then, okay, all right, just saying.
Oh, let's talk about you.
No, this is more interesting. No, I did the boring thing. Like, it's either wine, tequila, or coffee. I mean, is there any other dates? Wine, tequila, coffee.
I do think there is like an element of that. Like as girls, we're taught with fairy tales, right? It's basically ignore these red flags.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so we really tend to romanticize like these first dates or like initial encounters just because, I mean, you're not supposed to be the one to like muddy up your fairy tale. Where men don't have the same experience because they weren't raised reading these stories and things of that nature.
True.
So it's like, even if you feel a certain way, or you feel like there's a certain red flag or this, you almost don't want to bring it up or like deviate from that because you're the one messing things up. You're supposed to have this pure, flawless love story initially, and no one wants to be the first one.
To me, the most interesting thing is not having an actual ideal first date. Like, I don't have that mapped out. Like, you say, what's your ideal first date? I don't know. It's
No?
like this, like, no, because like then it would be like actually scripting something that is going to happen at a certain time, and to me that's just like not interesting. It's not exciting enough. Like, I'm gonna, it's like when you're with someone for too long and you wake up in the morning and you decide what are you gonna have for dinner. That's my day. What are we doing for dinner? Like, I don't care what we're doing for dinner. I have the same idea when it comes to the first date. Like, I don't want to wake up with that idea of like, this is what I want. No, it's just,
How do you meet most of the people you want like dates with?
Usually just in person, So either being, out or, random places.
Are you on any of the apps?
The apps are a disaster. I've tried those. The apps to me are like playing the slots. You're like, ding, 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 ding. Oh, you win. But you never actually win the jackpot. It's just like, little teasers. No, especially, I'll be honest, here in New York, I thought it would be better with the apps. Awful.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
And now I've deleted them, so I'm app free when it comes to dating.
Interesting.
No, it's just I think it's more fun to just meet people.
Oh, of course,
Because
yeah.
okay, so I'm a bit superficial. So if I'm going to do the app, I'm a lot superficial. I am going to judge you by everything on your app, including the picture you think is the best one of you on your profile. I'm like, no. And then everything you say as well. The contrast is if I met someone at the bar and we just start talking and then suddenly, like, I don't have the same criteria. But if you're gonna put, it's like putting the flashcard in front of me. If you're gonna put it in front of me, I'm gonna critique it.
Yeah.
If you're just sitting there and I, get to know someone, then maybe there's like some other interest. Okay, then I'm more open to it. So your chances are better meeting me out anywhere, a bar, a museum, the laundromat. I don't go to the laundromat. Whatever it is, than on an app. Because on an app, my answer is automatically no.
Yeah.
And the couple times I said yes, should have said no. It was a mistake. But that's just me. And I don't know if it's because I don't really get into the whole like back and forth like people do. Like I'm really good at communicating, and texting is actually a game I'm very good at.
See, I'm absolutely shit at texting. Like, I don't use emojis. I'm very blunt.
Emojis are nothing. Those are for people who can't communicate. But anyway, go ahead. I don't use emojis either, except for a guy that uses emojis. I was like, how can you trust a guy that uses emojis to communicate? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like,
See, emojis are a huge red flag for me.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I'll like pair if like the person I'm texting uses a lot of emojis. I'm just like, ha ha ha, and I use it. But I'm like, I've already prejudged the person with emojis. If you communicate with emojis or you drop the Y and the U on the U,
Oh, no.
then you're just lazy and you only use the U. No, it's a 3-letter word. You can't spell it out. Use one letter in it.
What's your dating range, age-wise? Like 25?
Let me put it this way: within 10 years, plus
Okay,
or
yeah.
minus, I'm comfortable. Less or more than that, I'm not comfortable.
Okay.
What about you?
It's changed throughout the years. Like when I was 20.
Oh, it changes when you get older too, trust me.
Well, it's interesting because when I was 20, like 19, 20, I was living in LA and I had just moved to LA from Miami. And I was like heavily involved in nightlife.
2 bad cities to date in.
Terrible,
Add New
I
York
know.
to it, 3 bad cities to date in.
Well, I've never had a real boyfriend. And I think that's partially why. And also,
That explains it.
well, I was just so different when I would like drink. And I found that like when I was like 19 and 20, I was dating guys who were like 30, 31.
Of course.
And I always thought that was my range. I was like, okay, I'm 10 years older. I'm never really gonna date someone my age again. But what I kind of found was, and a lot of these guys are still like around and they're friends and they're cool, but I always went after tech guys. And I always went after like entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And at the time, it took me years to figure this out. But it was because I went after people who had skill sets that I didn't believe I would ever get.
Right. Yeah, no,
And
that
now
makes sense.
I have them, and it's interesting. But I really recently just started dating guys my age now, and even like a guy who's like a year younger than me, which I just thought was the most absurd thing. So before it was like 10 to probably even 15 years, like older. But now I'm more hesitant, especially because I feel like we're in just different walks of life. And I want to grow with someone, and I want them to grow with me. And yeah, I don't know. Do you want a family?
Me?
Yeah. Like, do you want kids?
Yes, I did.
What changed?
Age.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I never like. For me, it was never about one or the other, or like an ultimate. And I think this is this is my perception on women and dating. So 2 things. You know, they either like, oh, I have to be this strong, successful woman, whatever that means, and or I have to be, you know, a mother and a wife or whatever that means, or my time has run out or the prime has run out. And so I've never really had those I'd never had that framework where I had to do one thing versus another, or the timeline was there. So for me, it was more about the right situation, and in this case, if I was gonna have a kid, it was gonna be with the right guy. And honestly, I hadn't had the right guy, so I'm not gonna have a kid for no good reason, because it's a lot of responsibility. And now I'm past that. Now it's just like whatever. Now, between age and other interests, it's like it's not a priority for me. And it's not that I don't want it or I wouldn't love it. It's just, you know, coming to terms with where I'm at. You know, and then it goes back to the thing about like, I think women have a weird decisions to make at certain points in their life, and it's unfair. It's unfair we have to make these decisions. You know, like because you reach a certain time or whatever, you have to do certain things. Like, no, screw you. If I was a guy and I'm 45 years old, guess what? I'm at the prime of my life. I got 5 more years to do whatever I want, be the best I want, and I still have all the options from a career standpoint, from a relationship standpoint, from everything else. And women were the disadvantage for that, and I don't play into that at all, and I don't like, I never even like use that as a premise or reason for anything I do, the whole in a moment card. But the reality is, you know, there's a time clock. So at a certain point, you either accept it or you give it up, and not in a defeatist way, just in a, okay, it didn't happen during a certain point in time, so now I've moved on. So I've moved on.
Do you think
So
you
I've
grieve
moved on.
that at all?
Do I what?
Do you grieve that at all?
Do I grieve it? No. No. I'm so okay with it. I don't grieve it because not doing it was also a very specific decision for me. I definitely could have and arguably should have, but then I would have been in a miserable situation. Miserable, not from like having a kid, not from being a mom standpoint, but from doing it with the wrong guy, the wrong person. And yes, I realize you don't have to do it with a guy, but I'm also like a little bit traditional when it comes to the kid thing. Like I wouldn't mind having a daddy there. Even if I picked him off the shelf, still needs to be there sometimes because everybody needs a break. So no, I don't. But no, I'm like I wouldn't. To me, I didn't feel like having a kid was important enough to do it under the wrong circumstances.
Yeah.
That's it. So, and now it's kind of weird because I think people it's funny because when you start to do things on your own, you start to come to terms with you're not going to be those things. So you start to be, what else can I do with myself? So then, you do business things. And then in my case, start to be whatever that word means, entrepreneur, or you start doing your own business. And it's gratifying. It kind of fills the void to an extent. And you're like, all right, well, this is what I was, this is the course I was supposed to take. But then sometimes you go, is it though? Is it really? Or should I have just, been like everybody else and had that baby with that guy I really probably shouldn't have had with?
I mean, I remember, Kava Social is your baby. You're there every day. You're kicking your ass, and you guys almost got shut down last December for no reason to do with you at all.
Right.
And
I
you went to court. You defended that, and you crushed it.
Right. No, I mean, honest, like I said, I think it's just something that you can be fine with anything you do and anywhere you are in life. That's how I feel. That's how I've always managed. Maybe it's my coping mechanism, but at any point, like where I've started to feel like a little bit, I don't know, maybe I wasn't exactly where I thought I would be in whatever form, or like those goals didn't play out, I go, I can always reconcile it with where I'm at that moment and the amount of like either effort or dedication or some will to see it through that gets me to that point, and I'm like, I'm good, I'm fine. So whatever I thought I wasn't fine about, I'm like, I'm fine. And I mean, having your own business fills that void, fills a lot of voids. I mean, you literally become so many things, and it can be super rewarding, but it can also be super stressful. And it's like you don't get to have those off times or the bad days that most people would sympathize with you on. Everyone expects you to always be at your best, and you don't get to not be that way, especially when you have, people that work for you and are depending on you.
So I run my own business, you run your own business. For me, I always just give myself I'm like, okay, we're gonna feel shitty for 10 minutes, and we are gonna feel those feelings, and we're gonna cry, and we're gonna be mad at the world, and we're gonna say, I got fucked, or I got screwed. But after that, you have no choice. You have to take the next step. You just have to go and almost shut your head off and just do.
Yeah, it's a I don't know, it's a weird dynamic. And I guess back to this question now, because now I'm curious. This whole thing, I'm probably a terrible Joan of Arc for the woman cause, because I'm not the one who's going to be like, I'm a woman, do this. But I am curious because I always have found this interesting dichotomy with dating and you're like, okay, guys love strong, independent women at first.
Oh, 100%.
And they'll be the first ones to despise all the others that they've been with that were so codependent. But that wears off, right? Or is it just me? Because it's always the immediate attraction, and it's almost like fatal attraction at first, and then afterwards you're like, what happened to that? Can we go back to that? I was like, that's where I want to go. And then guys are like,
I think for me, my dating life is. So for me, my dating life is so different than my work life, because I'm in sales. like I also do like product management, and I have to have such a masculine energy. And so I'm like very independent in that sense, but when I date, I love being feminine. And I really want to like push that feminine energy, and it's one, my masculine energy can carry on to like my dating life, and then that creates like a tension. But I think also there are guys who like assume that I'm going to want to be like very like 50-50, and you know, my parents, I was raised like fairly traditionally, but my mom was a prosecutor, my dad, you know, he's a consultant, and even though like my dad was the head of household, and I grew up with that, and I like that, and that's almost what I'm looking for. But people think that just because you're, you know, successful in business and this, that it's almost like wrong to like still want that. But like at the same time, my parents were always equals. There were times when my dad got laid off, he didn't have a job, and my mom stepped up, and it was just so unspoken, and there was just so much respect. My parents are still together, and I think identically to my dad, I look just like my mom, so I'm like a solid mix between the two of them. But like I want, you know, my ideal partner is like very masculine, and he's someone who can almost take, you know, me and then also like bring me down a bit, because I can have like an attitude and things like that. I mean, I say I can have an attitude, but like I'm not. I don't, and I think I'm very sweet and like tender when I'm in a relationship, and I love to be nurturing. Like I love to bake and cook and do all these things that I can't do in my work life with qualities I can't show. And I think that throws people off, because no one ever knows if I'm into them.
Right.
And I never know if people are into me.
That's fair.
And it's tough. And I feel like you're very similar, where
Yeah,
you're
no,
just such a strong person, but it's nice to not be strong.
Yeah.
But people, I don't know, I feel like you can't have both sometimes.
No, I think it's just a misunderstanding, because people assume because you're strong, because but strong doesn't mean you're
I thought you were checking someone out.
I was checking the road out, but there's nothing going on over there. There was like a light that flashed for a second, sorry. No,
I think another issue of mine is people think I'm much more vulnerable than I am. I'm very good at projecting false vulnerability.
don't tell all your secrets.
Well, I know, it's like strange, because I have no, and I think by like projecting this false sense of vulnerability, people think they're much closer to me than than we are, because I'm not afraid to talk about things that are taboo. And I think growing up I learned that if I'd be like almost like a bit louder, talk about things like sex or, you know, like even like mushrooms and stuff, like people would just, because they wouldn't feel comfortable talking about that, they took that as me being open and vulnerable. And I figured out that if I spoke like that, or if I like engaged in these conversations, then that like kind of checked that box off for them. They felt like they were close to me, and I could actually like keep that in a bit more, if that makes sense.
You told them something you shouldn't have.
Huh?
Because you told them something you shouldn't have.
For them, yeah, that's something that they wouldn't say, yeah. But for me, that was just like another topic, and I think that's why I'm able to talk about things so openly. And it just, people, it's tough. And I think that's my wall. My wall is like false vulnerability, and then kind of pushing people away by default. How long have you lived in New York?
3 years, and what month are we in now? Losing track of time.
About to be February.
Right, so just over 3 years.
Really? I thought you'd been here for like 8.
No.
Huh. And what brought you here?
It's a business idea, being crazy, and that was part of it. I always wanted to live in New York because everyone said it was too hard. They were like, it's too hard, it's too expensive. You know, you're too old. Like, this is not the time to go to New York. I was like, really? You tell me all those things, and I'm like, sign me up. I'm in. Like, I saw this. I don't know, whatever it is. It's not a meme, but somebody posted it, and they're like, New York has made me a complete weirdo. When I go to other cities, I'll be like, it's only 15 minutes away, and I'm walking, and you're walking on the side of a highway. And that's exactly what I did this past summer. I went to a wedding in northern Michigan. I'm in Glen Arbor, Michigan, and I'm like staying at this resort. You know, they're still claiming pandemic for the resort not being fully operational, so they didn't have an ATM there. And I wanted to give a wedding gift.
They didn't have a what?
An ATM.
An ATM, okay.
Cash, I need cash, you know? And so I was like, well, where's an ATM? So I stopped some guy in the resort, and he's like, Unfortunately, we don't have anything here on the resort, and this is a huge property. To go into town, I said, there's one ATM in town, and I was like, fine. I look on the thing, 15-minute walk. I'm in the dress.
And you're walking on the fucking highway.
And I start walking, I'm on a highway. I'm on a highway, but it's no big deal because I was like, 15-minute walk is nothing here,
Yeah.
whatever. And then I start to realize that people were slowing down, people were looking at me weird, and I'm like, why am I getting so much attention on this side of the road? And at some point, this is actually a really funny story because I'm like starting to get a little uncomfortable, like I'm doing something wrong, or I'm like a complete weirdo for doing this. So I veer off, try to get a little bit more into like
The woodland.
the woodland, exactly. Because I was like, maybe I won't look so weird if I'm over here in a dress and sandals walking on the highway.
Oh my gosh.
And so then like this car pulls up and slows down, and it's actually a funny story because I was at my ex's oldest daughter's wedding, and my ex pulls up in the car with his oldest son, and they're like, I was like, oh hey. He's like, do you need a ride? I'm like, yeah, I suppose. So I jump in, and they were all embarrassed. And so the girl whose wedding I went to, his daughter, she was like, later that night, I come back, and everyone's at the reception thing, and they're like, oh my gosh, we saw you walking on the highway. I was like, yeah, so? And she was like, I had to tell everyone, like, she's fine. They all thought something was wrong with me. Like, they thought like I was having this like emotional situation. I was like, I'm literally just walking to the ATM. It's a 15-minute walk. Like, doesn't anybody else do this? But in Glen Arbor, Michigan, nobody walks, not even past the resort. They take their car from like the parking lot to the next person's room, that's like up the hill. It was the funniest story. And I felt like such an idiot, but I didn't care.
I did that in Fort Lauderdale.
That's what New York has made me a weirdo. Complete weirdo.
It's hard to, when you go to other cities, you're just so used to being like, everything's so readily available.
Yeah, no, it's too easy. Everything's easy. I mean, you literally can go downstairs into the bodega, you can buy a plunger, you can buy a condom, you can buy a beer. I'm serious.
What kind of nights are you having?
And you can buy a bag of prunes just in case you're having a
plunger, condoms and beers. What the hell
What
are you
I'm telling
doing?
you, this is the craziness of every store that's on the block. Those are the ones that are open at that hour, and you go, what do I need? I came down here from some Triscuits, and I ended up with 10 things I don't need. I'm always like, when you go and you're like, check out, you're like, can you separate these items? Like, they look at me and like, are you kosher? No, I'm not kosher. I just don't like my plunger with my cheese. Can you move it? Can you please put it in a different bag? Like, look at me weird. I'm like, I'm serious.
I'm gonna re-up on my drink real quick.
Yeah.
It's almost like the paradox of choice. Like, there's too many options in what direction we do and who we are.
It's true.
And we're constantly exposed to, one, information, but two, to the fact that we can always change. And like, I think a lot of people in my generation understand that change, whether it's positive or negative, it's constantly compounding. And so therefore, like, with all these options, we're like, am I making the right choice? Am I like this or that? Am I loving myself enough? Am I loving myself too much? Am I, am I doing this because this is something I want to do? Or am I being, I feel like I can be a bit performative, even when I'm by myself. But I'm like, is that just me? And it's not necessarily done out of a place of validation. It's more like constantly testing the waters. Like, some days I want to be very elegant. And then some days I want to be like very like, oh, like shoot the shit. And that desire constantly changes. So like that identity constantly changes. And then like I'm different, when I'm with my parents than like when I'm with you. And every individual I interact with, I'm different. And then we add the component of social media to it. And like every day someone comes up to me and like that like I've known, and they're like, like when I met you, I thought you were gonna be such a bitch. And I'm like, what?
Like, yeah.
I'm like, why? And they're and it's not like I have a resting bitch face or something like that. It's like if what they see on social media, just like, so knowing that people have all of these thoughts about you, like constantly, in like professional settings, for me specifically, and that these thoughts tend to be wrong. I'm constantly aware of just how I'm being perceived. That's something I really struggle with, is I don't even know who I want to project because I don't know who I am. And I'm still figuring that out, and I know that comes with life.
Yeah. So do you think if we like hit the erase button on social media, everybody would be okay? What would it look like?
I hate social media, and it's my job, and I hate it so much. And that's why I haven't been posting for like the past 2 months, because it's constant, like, I don't know, for me, it directly correlates with a lot of self-hate. And that's something I'm like trying to fix constantly. And I've always been the type to be very hard on myself, and that's like, you know, they say you're your own biggest critic, but I've always taken that tenfold. And granted, that's gotten me a lot of success, and I'm really grateful for that. But at the same time, I really struggle with like the presence of self-love. And it's just, if I could, like, I know 5 years ago, if I could talk to that version of me, like, she'd be so proud of who I am today.
Right.
And 5 years from now, that person will be so proud of me. And I'm so proud of myself from 5 years ago and that person, because she was the one who quit drinking, and she was the one who, like I'm not the one who had to go through the trials and tributes, like that individual is. And even as I'm explaining it, I'm quite viewing like these as 3 separate people, and I don't know why I do that. If I could have the same love that I have for my future self and to my past self that I do to like my present self, like that's what I'm trying to do. And for some reason, it's just not fucking clicking. it drives me insane, and it's like heartbreaking in a way. It's like, I feel like I'm so mean to myself, and I have no clue why. And I don't know. Sorry.
That's okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, you probably are. So if you were to do
And I
away
feel
with
like
it today, like,
Yeah.
you'd be okay, right? You'd survive?
Like social media?
Yeah.
Yes, and I think social media like directly contributes to that. Like I think
agree.
it's the cause of
I
it.
agree. Right.
And it sucks, so that's my job. That's like my entire career right now,
Right,
is
right.
social media. Yeah.
Do you, when on your social media for yourself, do you actually portray it like it is, or do you put yourself in a different light, or?
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
I see a red door and I want it painted black.
She pictured arguments with her future lover in the foyer. I already told you I can't go back and rule Geneva with you. Can't you see that New York City is the only thing I'll ever really love?
I don't think I artificially portray myself. I think especially, like, I'm pretty much like who I am, but in the same way that like I portray myself differently in like a business meeting. Like my social media is so connected to my professional life that it's not that this is like an artificial or different person. It's just I treat it with kind of like the same, like, I guess, level of respect that I would like a casual meeting. So I'm fine if people see me, like especially like physically, I'm very okay with physically who I am. So I don't care if people see me with no makeup or anything like that. And I think personality-wise, like it's pretty authentic to who I am. I think it's an exaggerated and somewhat biased version,
Right.
but I don't think it's not me.
Right.
I would be mortified if someone saw a picture of me and then saw me in person and was like, oh, you don't look like your photos.
Right.
Like that's not my goal. That would actually hurt me more than if they thought I looked bad in person, you know?
Yeah.
What about you? Do you think you are who you are and like you portray?
Oh yeah. Too much.
I'd agree with that.
Too much so, and I barely do it anymore. But yeah. Yeah, I'm just like, blah, it's all out there. I'm just like, ah. I hate it. Like, I honestly hate it. I would go back to rotary dial phones, waiting at home for that phone call from someone you don't know you're gonna get, and being like, did he call? There's no message on the thing. Like, I would die for that stuff. Like, I have a rotary dial at my house. I would love to activate it and just have that be like, I ain't got no text. I got
See,
no
like,
cell
did you
phone.
have that period in your life where that's how you?
Yes.
See, that blows my mind.
Great. Like, I would run home. Like, if somebody were like wanted to hear from, you would go home and you would sit there. Did he call? Did he call? Or she, or whoever it was.
So like, I love Sex and the City. I've seen like every episode, and that is always so fascinating to me. Whenever like you just show up, at a date. Like, you're like, okay, we'll meet there Friday at 7. And
That's my
you
point.
have no idea if that person actually
No.
shows up. That's mind-blowing.
It's fantastic.
No, it
You don't
sounds
need
great.
100 texts. Be there in 5. On my way. In the Uber now. Here.
Alright.
Got a table.
I'm going to show you something absurd.
Is that? Like, seriously, no. I'd rather you tell me, I'll see you in 5 days at 7 p.m. on the corner of X, and I said, I'll be
I
there.
have 956 unread text messages.
You need to simplify your life, honey.
Oh, Jesus.
956 unread text messages?
Yeah.
I would literally go like this, swipe, delete, don't care.
They come in constantly, whether it's
That's my point.
It's so hard to be detached right now.
Which is why I delete most of them. I don't answer a lot of people. Can't.
You really don't.
I have 956 unanswered text messages, and I'm not going to do that. It's just too much. No, I mean the old
nonstop.
days when you had like you knew the number and you're like 1, 7, 1. Like that whole charade is great because then as you're doing it, you have to think about, do I really want to call this person? You know, that old the drunk texting is easy. It's too easy. You send it. This one you have to dial it, then you have to think about it and be like, there's no voice messaging.
I actually had a client of mine who called me. I swear on my life, like this happened like 5 days ago. My parents were there, and his son goes to Cava. I'm not going to say who he is, but his son struggled with making friends, and he goes, "Hey, don't tell so and so I called." But he's like, that place changed that kid's life. Like, he talked to me. He's kind of like, he talks like a grandfather. Like, whenever you're on the phone, like, he just keeps going. And he, initially, when I brought it up to him, he was like, oh, he's not going to like that place. He doesn't like going to places like that, X, Y, Z. And he's there now every week. And he's made so many friends. And this kid has always struggled with making friends. Enough to, like, again, like, his father called me to thank me.
That's very cool.
Like, I swear to, like, my parents were there when this happened. And I think it gives an opportunity to people who don't want to take the traditional route. But, like, everyone's so cool and nice and, like, resourceful.
Well, I mean, and I think that's kind of the whole thing about it. It's like, this idea that people have to like pick one thing or the other goes back to my points, like everyone having these absolute like outcomes and everything, especially young people. I love them to death. They're so glorious in everything they do. But literally everything has to have like a definitive outcome. Yeah. It has to have this. There has to be, you know, an end game. It has to be black and white. It has to, and so this space environment for me, which is new and different, and having the bar, the, you know, Cava Social, something different for people, and that's all I ever wanted it to be. Like now I'm starting to like feel and hear these things from people that are like so much more profound than I ever thought. To me, it was, yeah, we all need something to make our everyday lives just a little bit easier. Like, you know, routines are boring. That was always my take. I have to work, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to get through the day, 16 hours a day, it's tedious. So I'm like, how can, you know, we do something different? And that was my inspiration for this. And that was like the whole thing when people go, why did you do this business? I go, well, it wasn't so much about a business. To me, it was more like a place that I wanted to be in all the time. And this has also been like kind of my love relationship with the city and people here. I've learned this about New Yorkers. This is my take. Could be wrong, but this is my take on it. It's like, it's so tough there. I'm like, they're not that tough. I'm like, I'm from Detroit. It's much tougher in Detroit. Like, New York's not that hard. New Yorkers, they're so, you know, like cut and dry and mean. I was like, they're not. They're very plain. They're very straightforward. Like they don't like a lot of fluff. Like you literally have to be like, so this is a glass of water and the water is gonna hydrate you and you're gonna love how it tastes. Fantastic, I'll try it. If you say, this will take you to a different state of mind that you feel like, they'll go, what are you talking about? Like, what's wrong with you? New Yorkers are super cut and dry. It's like literally, here you go, have it, try it, and they take it. And the other thing I've come to like super appreciate is that, and maybe this was something to do with the pandemic, because it kind of was the time when I opened, you know, the whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, the city loves very deeply, very hard. The people here are tough, but man, they are loyal and they like love you so deeply. And I was like, this was the most profound thing. And this was like my love affair with the city. When I realized They're not as tough as they think, and they actually are sweeter, more caring, and super loving people under this exterior of, you know, I don't care, I don't give a fuck. No, they do.
I'm a butterfly, taking my time. I'm a skeleton.